Well, it's finally time to start loading up my car to bring some rigs up to Blue Moon. I'm going to be hosting a couple of these up at his place over the winter because I don't want to heat cycle these rigs and my garage is not insulated. So let's start with the Radeon 7s, which are in the middle rig here, and they're running. What I'm going to do there, rip them all out, put them into one of these Hawktominer X12 Pros, boot it up, make sure it still works, and then yeah, I'm going to load that in the car. Then we're going to take the Yeti Miner X12 Ultra, we're going to take that up as well. So first things first, let's shut this thing down. I do believe that's actually still connected, so I'll soft power it down, pull the power, pull the Ethernet, we'll get the case set up, we'll get it all ripped apart, and then we'll make sure that this Hawktominer is going to work. Okay, got this thing lifted out. Boy, this is a heavy rig, and I need to make note, but I'm pretty sure this case goes in order, so this should be a Samsung. And I want to make sure I keep that GPU 0. So I'm gonna make sure I pull these out in order and keep the Samsung off to the side, just so I can for sure get all the Hynix cards kind of 1 through 9, you know, in the GPU land. And I've also got another Hynix right here. I just want to keep the overclocks the same if I can. There is an mSATA in there. I do need to transfer that as well. But let me rip all this down, and I'll get the X12 Pro set up here. And yeah, take it from there. What a beautiful rig. All right, cards are out. I'm noticing they are not in order because that was GPU 0 and that is a Hynix, so I'll have to find the Samsung. It's actually fairly easy to tell because of where they're manufactured, but let me get a small screwdriver out and let's rip this little mSATA out, close the case back up, and yeah, then we can get it into the Hawktominer. Well, I don't have 12 Radeon 7s like some YouTubers, but I do have a 5700 XT, which wasn't doing anything, and then a couple 6600 XTs, which are just chilling too. So I'm really hoping I have enough RAM here to run 2 miners. I would love to run all of the Radeon 7s on Dynex once we get a new miner, but right now they're going to be on Ergo. And in the meantime, I would still like to have these on efficient clocks on Kapow, because these are all pretty good cards on Kapow. Let me wire all this crap up and let's see if this thing fires up. I've tested the motherboard, I know that works, but I have not checked anything else on this case yet. So hopefully the backplane is still good. Cross your fingers. All right, well, let's fire it up. Let's see if she boots. Well, it boots just fine, but we have an issue that I'm gonna have to correct here, unfortunately. It only sees 10 cards. So these do work with AMD, but they've got the old... In fact, I wonder if I didn't flash the BIOS on this one. I think I did. But it's got the old Hawktominer X12 issue where it'll only detect up to 10 cards. So I'm not sure, but we're gonna rip the 6600 XTs out, move everything down, and boot it again. So that's fine. That's fine that this will only work with 10. It's not a big deal. All right, so the Hawktominer slot order, not correct. Unfortunately, I put some base OCs on this. It does mine with 10 AMD cards. I have not tried filling these with NVIDIA cards to see if I can maybe do half and half, but 10 cards is good enough. I'm gonna put the lid on it, let it mine for a bit just to make sure everything is good. And then yeah, this thing's ready to go. Next up will be this X12 full of 3060 Ti FEs. And then yeah, I think we're gonna be sitting in pretty good shape here. Well, while this mines away, I'm going to go ahead and swap out one of these CMP 50HXs for this 90HX, because this is much more similar to the other GA102 cards in this rig, and I don't know, why not? Well, since I'm out here anyway, I think I'm just going to go ahead and take down the 20 series rig and add a few more cards to that too. Oh boy. Fun. Looks like we got a couple 1660 Supers. Looks like that's a 2060 Super. I got 2 2070 Supers, 2 40HXs, and my 2080 Ti in here. So we'll be combining all that with another 50HX, another 2060 Super, and 2 6600 XTs. I don't have enough NVIDIA cards just sitting around to get all NVIDIA, so this should work. In fact, this will be a great test to see if it'll handle 2 AMD and 10 NVIDIA as well. Let's give her a go, I don't know. Well, beauty is, it works just fine with 12 cards here. The downside I'm seeing is this thing is registering as the wrong rig. The one thing I don't like about Hive is if you've got a rig powered down and you've got the same MAC address, you boot it back up, it's going to register as the incorrect rig. So I get to deal with reflashing this little SSD now. Oh joy. We'll come back out here, get it mining, but this one is otherwise good to go. Partially selfishly, but for my own sanity too. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm probably going to rearrange just for my own sanity. I don't really care what it looks like in here, and I'd like the cards in order. But let me do that real quick, get it all battened down. And then I gotta, oh shoot, I gotta rewrite the MSATA as well. Well, we have some more winter rig rearrangements. I've got the Yeti Miner X8 right here. And you'll notice we're down in the main garage here, next to BB Chung. This bad boy is down here because, well, the X12, containing 12 CMP50HX blowers, is now up at Blue Moon Mining's place, that's a tongue twister, for the winter, as he has a better power rate and he can handle more heat than I can. So anyway, I do still need to rearrange a few more things, but this 8x3060 Ti Founders Edition rig is coming down here to do time of day mining, since that's the type of power I have down here. And this doesn't get quite as cold as my home garage, so I'm not as worried about thermal cycling these cards here as I am at home. That's kind of the mindset where I'm at. So I'm going to open this thing up real quick just to make sure everything looks okay from the travel. Then I'm actually going to put the handles on this case, which I've never been on it before, just so I don't lose them. But we'll get this thing plugged in, get it configured, and yeah, we'll go from there. What a gorgeous rig. Gotta love Founders Editions. Everything looks perfect in here, so I think we're in good shape. I'll close it back up. It even looks nice and clean still. Impressive, considering this ran in my unfiltered garage all year. Makes me feel a little bit better about that. So close it back up. We'll get it kind of put somewhere where it's out of the way next to that PDU, and we'll get it fired up. Well, booted up just fine. It's interesting, you can tell that one's a little bit earlier because it's got the round cutouts, and that one's got the beveled chamfered cutouts for the fans. But I guess we'll log in and make sure everything's working. Yep, all is well. Just did a little self upgrade on this bad boy. I might actually move the tunes a little bit more aggressive. This is a very power efficient flux tune, but since this is only going to be running 12 hours a day down here, I might want to stack a little bit more. We'll see. We're back over by Tiltyboi. I've got this converted over to run on 240 now as well. I've got the secondary with a 1 foot long C13 to C14. The input is a regular old C19 into the C20. That goes to an L620P. That goes into this, I think it's 12 gauge suit cord, which goes into a 1450 outlet, which I normally have for my EV. And the other side, I got a nice thick chonker. Looks like a C13 to a 515. That runs into a smart plug just for maintenance. And then that goes right into the PDU as well, which that wasn't fully plugged in. Always give your cords a nice shove to make sure they're fully seated. But anyway, the Hawktominer, the Hawktominer, the nice RGB glowy boy, is working just fine. I've got, just like I did at the house, I'm only running 3 of the 4 PSUs because I don't need the 4th one, and the cord that I have isn't the official Hawktominer piece. So anyway, everything's up and running just fine. Tiltyboi is still having a grand old time here. The 12 3060 XCs. And then, yeah, the 8x3070 Ti is sitting pretty. Looks like we're pulling 8 amps right now, and this will all be time of day, but I put the Octo there so I can actually blow some heat into the 3060s to cold start them once it gets a little bit colder here, and I'll probably end up eventually running that Octo 24 hours a day just to keep these cards preheated, because thermal cycling anything with lead-free solder, you should limit it to as few times as you can possibly manage. That's my opinion anyway. And for the curious, that's what the other end looks like with the NEMA 1450. So nothing pretty, but yep, that's the setup. About to do what looks like a drug deal, even though it's just trading graphics cards for graphics cards. Well, the deal's done, and I didn't die. That's cool. Look at all these absolutely disgusting OEM 5700 XTs. He said he bought these from Hawk, and I'm assuming this is from the Blind Guy batch. But yeah, we'll have some fun tuning these for sure. I've actually heard that the Dell OEM 5700 XTs aren't that terrible, so we'll see. I don't know. But anyway, I got 8 of these, and I traded away some CMPs, so we'll see if that was a good or bad decision. Well, after some drive time later, we're back. Let me get these all spread out here, and then I'm actually going to get them booted up in one of those old Hawktominer cases, just to make sure everything is copacetic. Yeah, these things are pretty disgusting. I made sure he was aware of the deal we were doing ahead of time too, but the cards I traded off were mostly CMP 30HX colorfuls, but they were in like primo condition, and then my one spare 40HX as well. That one's actually not bad, but this thing, I mean, just the fin stack is vile. Some repugnant looks in there. Anyway, these are all 5700 XT 8 gigabytes. I did not even know until today. I was today years old when I found out that you could get a gaming OC gigabyte 5700 XT, so that's kind of cool. This is back from like the 20 series generation where the fans didn't suck. They got the taller hubs, so that's effectively the same cooler you get on like the 2080 Ti. Anyway, we got one fighter dual fan 5700 XT. We got 5 Dell OEMs, 1 Sapphire Pulse, and the gaming OC 8G. So let me grab one of the Octos. Let's get these stabbed in. Let's get it booted, and let's start tweaking. Let's get a base tune on these. Well, the Octo is loose. I know this one is in good working order because I just had a LAN party upstairs here actually this weekend, and I gamed on this thing. I know. Cool, right? I just jammed a 3060 Ti in there, and this G3900 and a single channel 8 gigabyte memory module honestly was plenty to play everything we play at the LAN party, which was kind of funny. But anyway, enough about that. Let me go ahead and smack these guys into that case, and I may end up plugging in a little bit more PCIe power just because these draw about double out of the PCIe slot to what a 30 series would. So maybe just be safer than sorry, especially because I don't have a full 12, and these have a 8 plus a 6. So let's do the thing. All right, there we are. Let me hook in some Ethernet. Let's hook up the power, and let's boot it into Hive and start doing some tuning. I'm not sure what I'll run these on yet. Probably Dynex, but I don't know. Let's actually have a look at the hash rate sheet and see what they're good at. I don't even remember. All right, there's our Hive OS. Power's in. It's kind of rare these days to only have RGB on 2 cards. Let me turn on the auxiliary fans just a little bit. Don't want to kill these things while I'm tuning upstairs. Anyway, I'm going to make sure that these NIC lights come back on. If they do, that means we should be booting into Hive, and we're going to be in good shape. I think I see lights. Yeah, wow, that's so dirty. Yuck, these things are filthy. Well, on initial boot, one of the cards was not showing up. However, I did find out that is because slot number 2, the card wasn't fully seated due to the front header, like the power switch and power LED thing. So I just smushed it down a whole bunch harder, and everything came up just fine. So I popped on some OCs from my file, and we are actually going to run the BZ Miner 19.0 Dynex beta. It's been working pretty well for me, especially on RDNA 2. I have not played around with it much on RDNA 1 yet, and it's pretty bad on Vega. So anyway, we're gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna run upstairs real quick and start dinner, but let's do some tuning, and let's see how the bins are, see what the wall wattage is, and yeah. So much keeps happening. Of course, I'm losing my voice now too. I kind of sound like Panda. But I have everything here to add a 240 volt outlet to this side of the garage to finally get this dual 120 volt PSU rig, sloppy seconds, over to 240. That's not a today project, however. Today I want to cover just the rest of the rig changes for this winter, at least so far. Last time I talked with you guys, we installed that other X8 here, but you'll notice the Yeti Miner 12 is back. I did have rigs with Blue Moon Mining, and that was supposed to be a full winter deal, but he ran into some issues, which is totally understandable. So I ran back up there, and 3 weeks in, just kind of pulled the 3 rigs back. So the Radeon 7 rig is back at my home. The 20 series rig is back at my home. The Yeti Miner 12 is here for now. That's, again, 12 3060 Ti FEs. That's mining Nexa. And then I've got this guy right here, which is out of storage. You'll recognize this as one of the X12 Pros. But this is now full of 5700 XTs, which I got from Arx Crypto, another local. So the story behind that is he was sick of tuning 5700 XTs, and I don't really blame him because they are really finicky, but he ended up trading me those 8 5700 XTs for 7 CMP 30HXs and 1 CMP 40HX, which may be slightly advantageous to me, but pretty much a wash. Plus he can just tune with 2 numbers. So that's what the setup's looking like right here. I do plan to get an L630P on this PDU and run it over there with that new outlet install, but I still have a few things left to do there. Yeah, I don't know. This is, I'm going to call this temporary, but I'm guessing that rig is going to be sitting right here, TOD, for like a month at least.
You know quantum computers. You know blockchain. But do you know both together? Dynex was the first platform to create a neuromorphic supercomputing blockchain-based algorithm which solves real-world problems. And the best part? Anyone can post a job, whether a company from the Global 2000, a machine learning job, or fintech and pharmaceutical. And if you don't want to program it yourself, get an expert directly at the marketplace. Run the job and be impressed by the fast result.